And we are live on episode 56 of the Red Man Group. I am your not-so-humble correspondent, Donovan Sharp. We are presented in part by the 21 Convention Patriarch Edition, an event for fathers by fathers. The event will be held in Orlando, Florida, this May 3rd through May 5th. It is going to be the first of 3 events this year, so get your tickets today. We've got a great show for you guys today, but let's go ahead and introduce today's panel. At small forward, we've got former married Red Pill moderator and founder of 4R Consulting, Ryan Stone. At _Ryan_Stone is where he can be found on Twitter. You can also search the same thing to find him on Facebook and Instagram. His YouTube channel teaches you how to keep your belly full and your balls empty. So you definitely want to subscribe. RyanStone.com is where you can find his exclusive content and book one-on-one consultations. If you want to support him even further, make sure you check out his Patreon page at _Ryan_Stone. At shooting guard is Japanese booty bandit Jonathan from Modern Life Dating. You guys can follow him on Twitter at ModernLifeJohn, and on Instagram search Modern Life Dating. ModernLifeDating.com is where you can find his content like Triple Your Tinder and his latest course, Body Language Mastery, which is only available till Monday. Our power forward today is the resident Latin lover, who is also a writer, dancer, personal trainer, storyteller, and a man you should never, ever hire as a personal trainer to train your wife or your girlfriend. That would be Alexander Juan Antonio Cortez, also known as AJ Cortez. Cortez.site is his website. And Cortez, by the way, is spelled with an S, not a Z. Yes. There you can sign up for his newsletter, read his blog, and book one-on-one consultations. You can follow him on Twitter at AJA_Cortez. He's also on Instagram, Facebook, Medium, Patreon, and YouTube. Just do a quick search for Latin Fabio on any of these platforms, and I'm pretty sure he will come right up. Our starting center is none other than the Godfather himself, Rollo Tomassi, who is the author of the revolutionary book series, The Rational Male. Follow him on Twitter at Rational Male. You can also catch him here, the Red Man Group, on his YouTube channel and on the almost said Pat Stedman, Jesus Christ.
No.
On the Pat Campbell show every Friday morning at 9:05 Eastern on Talk Radio 1170 in Tulsa. I'm going to be your point guard today. You guys can find my content on YouTube, Patreon, and my website. Made a very important change this week on my show. I'm on the air twice a day now, Monday through Thursday afternoons at 5 and 5:30 Eastern. TSR Live is at 5, and that's basically caffeine-free Diet Donovan, where I try to keep things nice and clean for YouTube, but maintaining the quality of knowledge that you guys have come to expect. TSR Primetime at 5:30, however, is loaded with sugar, carbs, and caffeine energy drink Donovan. And I don't think I have to explain what kind of show that is. You guys can also access my content with the Donovan Sharp mobile app, which you can download on donovansharp.com. Gentlemen, it is good to have you in this morning. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing great, man. Thrilled to be here. Love this subject.
Stuff. Excellent. Okay, Rollo, start us out here, man. How was your week?
It was really good. I have one kind of big announcement, which is this is probably going to be the last show that I do in this studio. I have secured a secret bunker in the high desert of Nevada, someplace secret and safe that no one can find me. Anyways, I've got a new studio. I actually kind of wanted it as like this writer's den at first, but then I was looking at it and I go, you know what, this would make a really good, background. And I wanted to do something a little bit more professional. So I figured, I better up my game. And so that's what I'm planning to do. I've got some new hardware and a whole, I don't want to say it's a sound stage because it's not quite like something like, Dave Rubin or Louder with Crowder or something like that. But that's like the intent. That's kind of what I want to do. I know like Donovan, you've got a really nice background there. And I think getting to that point, I think once you decide to sort of like treat it as a real job instead of like a hobby, then it starts to pay like a real job or, instead of a hobby. And so I kind of want to do something a little bit more professional. And so I find myself doing a lot more interviews lately. I actually just did one with Alex not too long ago. Was about a week ago. And then I did another one with Bulldog something. I can't remember the dude's name. John from Bulldog. I want to say it's Bulldog Training, but it's not Bulldog Training.
So you did that one? Yeah,
I did. I actually went and did that one. I don't know when it'll be available. It was a recorded thing. So I did that last week. And what else did I do last week? I'm trying to remember. I did Pat's show yesterday. We had a really, really interesting show. I think we had one of probably the best calls that we ever had. Like, we don't usually do call-ins on Pat's show because Pat's really more topical. Like, he'll have the call-ins will be open. So if people call in and it's a really good phone call, his producer will put it through. But for the most part, we try to keep it like on topic for whatever it was that we're talking about. And just to let people know, just some things from behind the scenes. We usually talk like a couple days before the show, and we decide what we're going to talk about. And so we were just really going to talk about the what was it, the teachers, like the sexual or statutory rape of these kids, like these female teachers, and they all follow a profile, right? They're all white, they're all between the ages of 24 and 34 years old, they're all married to betas. Every last one of them has been married to a beta.
Charlie Hanson's Angels.
Exactly. I know, right? And so they're married to these really kind of wimpy guys, and they end up having sex with, and I'm trying to keep this clean, they have sex with kids, with basically like 13 and 14-year-old boys. And so what everybody thinks, of course, is like, oh well, it's so those guys are lucky, man. How come I didn't get one of those hot chicks when I was in school? And I'm like, well, yeah, because what can happen now couldn't have happened when you were in school. Like when I was in school, if that happened, that would have been crazy. But second of all, it's like, we don't have the kind of access that we do. We didn't have like 24-hour access. We don't have the internet. We don't have cell phones. We don't have that. She's sending like nudes to this kid, right? Lingerie shots and beaver shots and shit like that to this kid. And so like we're just breaking that down. And at one point, like we were talking about how this guy's wife, or excuse me, this girl's husband was trying to defend her, like saying like, I'm trying to pay off the kid's parents, saying, please don't press charges. And we got into the side of the topic where we're talking about how these guys, how these beta dudes will like do anything for their one-itis, right? For their soulmate, right? Because they got married and they think, oh, it's destiny, whatever. And so when their girlfriend or their wife gets into trouble, they'll do anything to keep, they're like ride or die chicks almost, right? And so we started talking about that. And then a guy called in and he was saying something to the effect that he forgave his wife like 4 times because she cheated on him 4 times with 4 different dudes.
Oh.
And then she dumped him.
And then she dumped him. Yeah, I know. And then she divorced him. Yeah. And he was proud of the fact that he was so forgiving that. And then she ended up divorcing him, and she got a green card out of it because I guess she was an Israeli citizen, and she got to, because they're both Jewish, and she's got her U.S. citizenship because she married a guy who was an American. And the guy's like, he's so proud of himself because he did what God told him to do. Like God said that you should be faithful, and he used the example of the Old Testament, and I didn't know it at the time, but I looked it up. It's in the book of Hosea. There's a prophet who was told by God to marry a prostitute and to like take her out of prostitution and like clean her up and everything. And of course she kept going back to prostitution, and he was faithful to her by forgiving her all these times. And that I'm gonna get into this in my Red Pill and Religion very soon, because I really want to talk about the principle of forgiveness and how that works into Red Pill dynamics, and how and I'm sorry I keep going on really long here, but it was just one of the best phone calls we've ever had. So if you haven't listened to that, you can just look at my Twitter feed and you'll find the link to it in there. It's really good. Anyway, so anyway, I'm done.
Shout out to Latino Manosphere, aka Miami Jason, says greetings from the Colombia-Venezuela border. Had to get my red pill fix. Keep at it, gents. Thanks for all you do. Hashtag Venezuela Libre. Miami J, please be careful down there. There is serious unrest down there in those parts. Also, shout out to B. Ryan with the $5.49 super chat. He says, thank you all. Red pill knowledge saves lives. Ryan, how was your week?
Hey, hola from Venezuela.
Yeah,
it's
right.
been a good week. Yeah. I just did a new video, Red Pilled Coffee, on so what you gonna do? It was nice. You know what I love about the videos is that I'm touching on stuff that's not so much topical, but it's so common that it seems to resonate pretty quickly. In this case, it's the guys that always give the woe is me, talking about how bad the deck stacked against them. And then it's more of a pep talk, kind of getting them to understand that that's fine. But if people can survive in Stalinist Russia and thrive, then I'm sure you'll figure out a way to survive the thoughtpocalypse. And then I broke the fourth wall for a bit since we had this subcommunication body language topic coming up. where I actually told guys a lot of the editing choices I've made, like why I'm doing cuts the way I am and what they say. And it kind of showed them that, sure, we can write ourselves blogs and essays and books and all this stuff, but there's an underlying message that's in them and that subtext. And that once you start to understand that, that's when these things like body language and that become very obvious and clear. At the same time, I managed to plug Delicious Tacos, who was the first fiction writer I've read since Fight Club. And before that, the last fiction I read, you had to choose your own adventure. So it takes a lot to get me to read something that's not an instruction manual. So kudos to those guys. And then we had the final episode of the Red Man recap just an hour ago. We just got off it now. I brought Jack Napier on. If you guys don't know, he's our like Sam Boda Jr. He's our new guy who's reading Red Pill books and he's doing his thing. He's just doing some work there. We talked about it on the Patreon stuff. I can't bring it out here, but it's going to be super surprising and super cool.
Nice.
And then we talked about that and then a little bit more talk on the tactical soap commercials that we've been doing. Because I guess, who knew, they're rather polarizing. Old Spice can do it and it's really clever and funny, but Anthony does it and all of a sudden he's leeching masculinity. So whatever.
Yeah. Hey, but Axe body wash will totally get you laid.
Totally will get you laid.
Totally.
Shout out.
And then, sorry, go ahead. No, we're doing the shout outs.
Okay, yeah. Listen, shout out to Red Man Anon with the $10 super chat. He says, to all of the panelists, I actually have a good answer for this one. If Chris Hemsworth were hitting on your wife or girlfriend, what would each of you do to make sure that you don't become plan B? Specific tactics, mindsets each of you would do. Here's what
Chris, he won't do it.
Well, this is what I do. When me and my girl or whoever I'm dating, when me and Devin are out or whatever, and there aren't too many guys who are, as good looking as yours truly, but if I see a guy who's taller than me, is good looking, blah, 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 what I do before he even gets a chance to say or look at anything, I strike up conversation with him. Had the situation the other day in the elevator. Dude, tall, black guy, good looking dude. He's a real cool dude. I'm on speaking terms with him. We live in the same building. And I'm like, okay. So what I did is like, you know what, dude, you smell good. Like, what cologne is that? He's like, oh man, I forgot what it was. My wife gave it to me, blah, 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 blah. We're shooting the shit. So what you do is you make envoys with the quote unquote potential threat. You socially dominate him to show your woman that you are not threatened by men who may or may not look better than you. This extinguishes the situation every time. Shout out to the Red Pill Dad with the $100 super chat. Says, love all you guys. Keep fighting the good fight. Appreciate all that you do. Does anybody else have any answers to that question? And then we can go to John, or do we want to just go to John?
Well, here, I got one last thing.
Okay.
It was just going to be not so much on the question, just the last update. The new coffee I'm drinking now is Ground Shark Coffee. We started working together now, and it was on the last video. So,
oh, wow.
As much as you hate Gillette calling you trash, then just buy some brands from guys who are masculine doing things. I mean, they're doing jujitsu, they're making coffee, and they don't have a rainbow flag on it and telling me I have to not use the bathroom or whatever Starbucks drama there is. I don't even know.
He's sitting down.
That's the one.
All right, Jonathan.
Red Pill Anon. I just put a link to one of my essays in there, so I'm going to answer you the easy way and cop out of this. I have an essay called "Art of the AMOG." Go read that.
There you go. Oh, yeah, very good article. Jonathan, I think you may have had a pretty good week this week. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, as you guys know, I released my body language course, and the chat and then the guys on the panel can speak for itself. I mean, the guys have not even finished it, and they're already asking me like, "Why is this so cheap?" And like, I can't believe this is not even fully uploaded yet, and I've gotten so much value from it. My phone has been like blowing up. So basically what it is, I released a body language course for you guys that don't know. I released a body language course interpreting female body language. And what it is I hired a Japanese model and she performed over 40 gestures for me. I filmed her while she's doing it. They're played on a loop. And then I do a voiceover explaining what the body language is and then what is the meaning behind it. The guys in the chat and the guys in my community, you guys ask anybody. I mean, hell, like even ask Donovan. He's watched it. And the quality is there and it is blowing up. It is only available until Monday at midnight because what's going to happen after is that once registration is closed, all of these men are going to be invited into a private men's only Facebook group where we're going to be talking about dating, fitness, health, finances, networking each other, and create a hive mind of men who are trying to get to the next level in their life, wherever it may be. And then starting next week, there are going to be 4 Each person that gets into the course is allowed access to 4 weekly webinars that will be held almost every day. Each group will come in and have it'll be like 10 people digitally, and they'll have access to a Q&A session for me to clarify all points in the body language course. I have the full course uploaded now, but I'm going to continue adding to it as the time progresses. I'll put a link in the chat for those guys who want to join. You got until Monday midnight.
TikTok.
And then if you don't get in, like guys are messaging me for discounts and saying, can you extend it? No. If you want to get in, the link's in the chat. Get in now. If not, God bless you. God bless America. God bless Red Man Group. That's all I got to say.
Shout out to Pines the Word with the $10 super chat. Says shout out to the panelists, Donovan, Rollo, Ryan, AJ, and Jonathan. It was great meeting y'all at 21Con. And good luck to Jonathan with his body language course. It's fire. Yeah, there's no luck needed. That is absolutely the genuine article. I actually read that while I was tightening up the beard and the hairline. As usual, I had another great week of rock solid shows. I did a 2-part series on why men should be both controlling and possessive of their women's the right way, and why their women will love them for it. Now, obviously, your value has to be high. You've got to know how to handle women, and she's got to love and respect you enough to want to relinquish control and give up all autonomy to be with you. Had Kevin Samuels on Wednesday to talk about a sector of men who do nothing but complain about women while also doing nothing to improve themselves or their station in life. And Thursday, I had Steve the Dean on to discuss why women disrespect their boyfriends and husbands and how to deal with it. And finally, I have started to release the Illimitable Man archive. IM's been on my show a total of 14 times. Unfortunately, I lost 5 of those episodes when YouTube shut down my channel last year. I may be able to recover those, but until then, I'll be releasing 3 of those episodes per week over the next few weeks, and they're going to be available to my $8 patrons and above. So all in all, a great week here at TSR Towers, and I'm going to pass it off to the man of the hour. AJ, what you got for us, man?
How you guys doing? So
I'm good, man.
I'm good.
How has your week been, Alexander?
I've had an interesting week, as you might expect. So to recap for those who maybe don't know it all, last Thursday, while I was at the DMV waiting to get my license renewed, I typed up a series of tweets on how to be a beautiful woman, which I threw out into the Twitter sphere, and it went mega viral and got 55 million views, however many it was. So that went viral. So my week was a combination of really hot women sending me pics and asking me if I was an 8+. So
yeah,
that was cool. It was a combination of a bunch of death threats from SJWs, a lot of them. So some of those got reported. I got contacted by a few news agencies. I did like 3 interviews, did one with Pat, 2 other people. Ignore the ones from mainstream media, and obviously I'm here right now. And also I was on the Philadelphia Morning News on Tuesday, I think it was.
Yep, it was Tuesday. I'm going to play that video here in just a bit.
Yeah, which is pretty fascinating. So, I mean, overall, it was good. Business-wise, it was great. Got 6,000 followers. Email list got to the 19,000 plus mark. Sales were up because everyone just kept looking at stuff that I promote, sell. Managed to grow everybody else's following too. Ed, a couple other guys, just trying to retweet as much as possible. 21Con got some attention as well because that actually got mentioned in one of the articles. One of the hit pieces that got written, they brought up. So he has a masculinity conference that he promotes.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So I mean, overall, it was a pretty fun week. But definitely in like the midst of it, like Saturday, Sunday, when I was getting probably thousands of messages an hour, that got a little overwhelming. Since when you start getting like DMs, Instagram, even on my website, it was literally like I was just deleting stuff in mass. 100 messages would come in, delete all of them. Another 100 more would come in. So I definitely hit the zeitgeist pretty hard with that one.
So you had the popularity of a 20-year-old average-looking girl is what you're saying.
There it is.
Basically.
God damn, that is so fucking
whoa,
hey,
language there.
Turn it down.
Okay,
turn it down.
Listen, let's get right to it here. We're actually going to bring this back around to AJ. Today's topic, of course, is body language and subcommunication. And the interesting thing is that with the exception of the PMA community, body language and nonverbal cues and communication aren't really often discussed. Now, Rollo, I'm going to start with you because you wrote an article last September about body language. And while I get the video clip of AJ on the Philadelphia Morning News, Take us inside the reasons you felt it necessary to write a post on body language.
All right. Am I? Yeah, I guess I'm up. Okay. Well, the first reason I did this is because I had so many guys in my Twitter feed throwing like couple shots at me all the time. And so what I did is I started collecting all of these shots. And then it kind of dawned on me that we live now in a time where like digital photography is ubiquitous, right? I've got a phone right here. We can take a picture of whenever, wherever we are, right? And I don't think that people have really wrapped their heads around just how like revolutionary that is when it comes to collecting data. We're already collecting data like on things like Pornhub or on like OkCupid. I think there's a Carl. I wish Carl was on to verify this, but even Carl's done a book called Gendernomics, right, where he's taken like all of these stats that we never would have had before and turned them into a book. Same thing with dataclysm. It was all of this dating. This dating information really that came from collecting these data sets that we never had access to before. Even Facebook has data sets for when women change their relationship status, or I think probably even guys too. Like at certain times of the year. I think we've talked about this before, like when we were doing the cuffing season episode, we were talking about how those data sets now exist. Well, if you think about it, now that we can take pictures wherever and whenever we want to, we have access to a new data set. And what that new data set is like if we're taking pictures of couples, we can now analyze the commonalities of the body language of all those couples. And so what I did over the course of about like 6 or 8 months was I collected all of these things. When people were asking me, hey, what do you think about this role? Was this alpha? Was this beta? Right? Because I had a couple of posts from about 2 or 3 years back called Alpha Tells and Beta Tells. And it was just like this quick hit posts that I was throwing out there to sort of give guys an idea of what it is that they were doing that could be interpreted as, say, like being more alpha or signaling more, masculine dominance. And the ways that we do this without really thinking about it. So there's two, I'll put them in the chat here in a minute too, but there's 2 posts, Alpha Tells and Beta Tells. And so this was kind of like something that sprang out of that, but I was, oh, hey, I'm getting an echo, man. Who's got the echo? Okay, there we go. So I started analyzing all of these pictures, and then I came to the conclusion that there are certain behaviors that guys do and that women do that are common amongst all of these couple shots. Now, when I use a couple that is like a famous couple, like a rap star, or like if I'm using like Cardi B or whoever, that's one thing. Like I have, if you look in the post here, the body language post, you'll see a sample of all of, I should say they're examples of these different shots of like how guys sort of subconsciously do things that indicate beta and how they do things that subconsciously indicate alpha. Now, I'm not saying that these are like things that they are naturally doing. In fact, that's quite the opposite. I'm saying is that they do them without thinking. And now that we have access to this just massive amount of pictures, we can see what those commonalities are. So those commonalities, I'm just going to and these are just some of them. Okay. This isn't like every single one that I could think of, but there is the leaning in, and this is a beta posture. So it's like these guys, kind of leaning, they're always kind of like, putting their head on the girlfriend kind of thing, or they're hanging over. And usually the girl is like, looking off into space somewhere. It's like looking at anything that is more interesting than the guy who's like supposed to be, declaring his undying love for her. So there's the lean in. We can start with that one. There's also the lean out. The lean out is when the girl is kind of like this, and the guy's like leaning in, like trying to kiss. Usually it's a guy's trying to kiss on her. If you look at pictures of Justin Bieber and his wife, he does this a lot. She's like leaning out while he's kind of leaning in, and you can tell where the frame dynamic of that relationship is. And
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10, and this is also part of the lean out, is the girl will have a hand on the guy. Like she's doing like this, like she's holding him off. Right. And it's not this, oh, I want you. It's keep the fuck away keep away. I want you to keep away. Right. And so if you look at these, you'll see like when the guy leans in, the woman is leaning away. So that's another one. There's another one where I call it the eyes have it, right? It's you have these pictures, and this is usually when women are taking selfies of themselves with the guy that they're with. So in every single one of these shots, the woman is looking at the camera and looking like very seductively at the camera, like she wants to have sex with the guy who is watching her or is seeing this. And then there's the guy who's leaning in. He's not even looking at the camera. He's looking at her, and usually he's kissing on her, and that's another tell. But I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you look at the eyes and you look at the expressions, it's like he's looking in at her, and she's just kind of like, wistfully looking away somewhere and trying to find something that is more interesting than he is. But usually, what's more interesting is she does what I call is advertising. And women do this constantly on Instagram. In fact, there's a whole dynamic called the Instagram boyfriend, right? Where the woman is so self-absorbed and so concerned with her, getting her daily fix of attention from whoever her, fan base is. Because remember, we were talking about the brand of me when I was talking the brand of me at my speech in the 21 convention. Their brand of me is attention. Attention for women is the coin of the realm, right? That's how they establish dominance hierarchies. What woman can generate more attention than the other woman, that proves her value on that hierarchical scale. For men, it's performance, right? It's a dominance hierarchy. For women, it's an attention hierarchy. And so what women do when they, and 90% of the ones that I did for the eyes have it are Instagram shots from women looking out. And even in some of these, they're just blatantly over the top saying, I finally got this guy, or I got to, basically the message is something like, I got to cash out of the sexual marketplace. Look at me. But yet they're still advertising. Like if you look at the pictures of these chicks, and I'll throw these up here in just a second. If you look at the pictures of these girls and they're looking out, they look like they want to have sex with you. Like they're advertising their sexual availability, even though they've got a guy that's with them. So what that says to me is like, although she has locked down and solidified the guy who's going to be her beta provider, she still wants to have alpha sex with a guy who might be looking at this, right? So there's that aspect. Then there's the mate guarding aspect. Okay, and the mate guarding aspect is when guys are like wrapped over. They've got an arm wrapped around their girl, or they're doing one of these things, and they're also usually like leaning in at the same time. And it's this forearm block, like I got this woman, or she's got, he's got an arm around her, or he's like kind of like trying to hold her. And this is a mate guarding position. And usually the woman will be doing two things. She'll be like trying to hold his arm or push his arm away, or looks like she's trying to push his arm away. Or sometimes she's got a hand that's like a resistance hand, or she's trying to lean out and trying to get away out or out of the shot. And then in these shots like this, where the guy is mate guarding and is signaling that this chick is his chick, that's when that woman isn't looking out trying to advertise herself like when in the eyes, right? She's trying to get away. She's looking down. She's looking off somewhere. She's like, she might be looking at the camera, but she's like looking indirectly at the camera. She's looking, but like the eyes are off somewhere else. Okay. That's the mate guarding or the blocking posture. And then there's the other one, which is the I love mommy pose. And this is the one that everybody gave me so much grief about, because in every single one of these guys are like the girl's leaning in and she's mugging for the camera. So she's trying to advertise her availability, even though she's with this guy. But the guy is just like, it's always this kind of, and everybody's going to screen cap this, but she's the guy's like leaning over and trying to do something affectionate. And the woman is interested in anything else in the room but the guy that is kissing on her. And she's like leaning away, or maybe she's trying to look cute and he's just like kissing on her at the same time. And this is what I call the I love mommy pose. And this is betas do this constantly. And like guys will say, well, I think I've got one here of, who else do I got? Like, if you look at some of these pictures, I'll throw these up here in just a second. Like they'll look at the guy and they'll go, well, isn't that guy alpha? He's got like kind of a strong jawline and everything. Like, yeah, but you got to understand that just because he looks like he's alpha doesn't necessarily mean he's alpha up here. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean just because a guy has his, his stuff together, in his business life and maybe his personal life, that doesn't necessarily mean he is that way with his girlfriend or his wife. And so if you look at these shots, like it's like the woman is being forced into this position of having to be this guy's mother. Like she's there and she's like,
and those kind of girls despise them when they're like that. That's the problem. A lot of guys think that, oh, like for example, Drake is a huge beta, right? And everybody thinks, oh, Drake is so alpha and everything. But the only reason Drake is really getting girls, and the only reason the staggering majority of famous guys get women, is because they're famous. And then if you're famous, whatever you tell a girl, she's going to respond to it, because the only thing is she cares that you're rich and famous. You could bring flowers to her on the first date, like, oh, and you end up blue pilling the world. You're like, oh, you know, I brought my wife flowers on the first date. Yeah, I had $5 million in the bank and I was a superstar blockbuster actor. But yeah, I did all these beta blue pill things, and guess what? It worked for me. So if it worked for me, it can work for you, because these guys don't have true understanding. A great case of that, and it's sad to say, was Anthony Bourdain. That guy was blue pill as ever.
He's one of the pictures in this.
Yep. Oh, there you go, right there. I know.
If you look at Anthony, and here's the thing: is like when Anthony Bourdain killed himself, I was really on top of that as soon as it came out, because I looked at the situation. I go, here's a guy who's famous and everybody thinks is alpha, but if you look at his background, he's very, very beta. He overcommits. He overinvests himself, just like, you know, he believes in the soulmate. He believes in one-itis, that kind of stuff. And as a result, the guy's dead right now. But if you go and if you know something about him, and you know something about his situation with Asia Argento, and then you go and you look at the pictures of the two of them together, you can begin to put the pieces of the puzzle together. He's constantly he's got the blocking thing going on all the time. He's constantly trying to like establish this mate guarding position with her, because he wants her to love him as much as he loves her. And this is a guy who's still invested in the idea that men and women have a mutual concept of love. Okay. Now I'm getting a little off track here, but anyway, so lastly, there's the alpha tales. And I used, are you guys familiar with an actor named Vincent Cassel?
Yes.
Vincent Cassel. Yeah. Has a black girlfriend who is 21 years old. Actually, she's his wife now. And actually she is knocked up now. And I used these pictures because they were the most, well, first of all, the guy is like 51. Okay. The guy's like just about my age. And and people will say, well, he's famous, so of course she's going to be like this. And yes, there is going to be something like that, but he's not. But Anthony Bourdain was famous as well, right? And he's dead, and he was very much beta. If you look at the posture, the shots of her looking at him, you can tell from those shots that she admires him, that she looks up to this guy. I mean, literally, in some cases, she's looking up to the guy. While he's looking at the camera and he's mugging for the camera, or he's looking away, he's always in these positions of power. Now, I come from an advertising and branding background. And one of the things about advertising is when I'm doing photo editing, when I learn photo editing, one of the founding principles of photography is that the person who's looking away or is looking out into the audience or looking at the viewer, that's the person in that advertising or that image that has the power. And that's feminists use this as well, because they thought that that there was too many ads in magazines where women were just like kind of looking up at their man and like mooning for the man, where the guy's looking out. I mean, this is classic Vincent Cassel, right? He's looking out at the viewer, and the woman is looking at him. That would be like back in the 70s, like the Gloria Steinems. That's one of the things that they always thought was some sort of egregious, violation of women, right? It was that they would position women into these positions of submissiveness, right? But what I find interesting is that in the age of digital photography, where we have access to millions of couples shots, in every single one, almost every single one, it is the woman who is in that position of power. So I wanted to throw that out there. I'll put these up there. I kind of wanted to go through this and I'll talk about it. No, just real quick, Donovan. One of the reasons I wanted to do this topic is because on about 2 weeks ago on my show, Red Pill 101, I did a breakdown of all of the body language and all the subcommunications that go on between this couple that was on the show that Netflix has. Now I'm gonna have to watch this damn show, and you guys are gonna make me watch this show. It's called Dating Around, and apparently it's like a camera team or whatever follows around these people on first dates, I think, or maybe their second dates or something. Maybe they knew each other before. Yes, it's probably scripted, but what I found was interesting is like the interplay between this one couple, and it was making the rounds on Twitter. It's why people asked me to sort of analyze it. And I think that giving guys this kind of concrete by the numbers, description or breakdown of what happens.
Data, just pure
data. Data is really, really helpful. Now, you're always going to run the risk of people going, "You're reading too much into that." Oh gosh, is that what it's like? They think you're being like you're being a bitch, right? You're being just like a girl because you're analyzing all this and but you have to do that. Especially now, you have to do that as a guy, because when you look at these things, it's so consistent and so common that you can't ignore it. You cannot ignore this. So anyways, that's why I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to do some breakdowns. And then I'm glad we got Alex on here because of what happened on his video. So I'll let you go.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to play this video and I'm going to get AJ's response to this. So this was on the Philadelphia Morning News. Good Day Philadelphia. I actually just happened to be out in the living room getting a glass of water, and I looked at my TV, and there is Alex. There's Alexander. I'm like, holy shit, I know this guy. So this is what happened. I rewound it, and this is what happened.
And following his latest Twitter post, what did he say?
He's outrageous. He talks about what it takes to be a beautiful woman. And it's always these people, well, you can look at him.
Well, he's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
I mean, man.
So he says that women, here's his list. You can read it for yourself. They need to be thin, be able to cook, have long hair, wear makeup, be feminine, graceful, sensual. Shave should be without saying.
He doesn't.
Correct. And they need to love men, listen to men, stay classy, ladies, is how he ends that post.
It's got to be a joke.
No. He does all these kind of controversial
baby.
quotes all the time.
He's a tool. He's a dork. He's a dope.
Some people agree with it. He got thousands of likes on it. And then he had kind of some snarky response like, oh, if you don't agree with this, it's because you're a harpy or something.
Ooh, look at that right there.
Well, harpy's from the Greek mythology. It's an unattractive.
Oh, wait a minute. All right, AJ, let me get your opening thoughts on what's going on there. What do you read? First, give me your thoughts on the whole, I guess, hit piece, and give me your thoughts on their body language, because clearly you can actually see on my screen on your left, that girl's name is actually also Alexandra. She's actually one of the few attractive black women in the city. She didn't say a word through the whole thing. She looks like she is still looking at your picture. Look at her face, and then look at the blonde. Then look at the blonde who cannot conceal her outright arousal for you. AJ, take it away, man. What happened?
So let me just say before anything else, hit pieces don't do anything but increase your popularity. So I love hit pieces. The thing that struck me about this was that you have this setup where you have attractive women, you have attractive black woman, attractive, let's just say like older blonde woman. You have the guy in the middle who you can tell immediately upon having the subject brought up, he gets so nervous. He's got the hand fidgets going. He's saying, I'm a beautiful woman. Oh, I mean a beautiful man. So the cognitive dissonance turned off. Yeah, they're already going off. The girl on the left, her name was Alex. She looks like she's getting wet. She's got
because she is
looking side to side. She's got like the bottom lip, the mouth is open. You can tell she's got like the gears turning after she saw the photo. Whoever the blonde lady is, you can tell she has like what I call like sort of like the hate fuck like sensibility. Where like that provocation, where like a woman you kind of pissed her off, but now she's kind of aroused that you triggered that sort of like that dissonant response in her. Where like you're a guy. This is a hot guy. He has standards. I kind of liked what he said, but I can't say that I liked what he said. And she's now defending it against the beta cuck in the middle. So I mean, the whole thing. I thought this was staged, like on a certain level. When you showed it to me, I'm like, this cannot be real. Just because of the dynamics that were unfolding, the fact that they also devoted the freaking news to this in the morning. But I mean, that was my kind of like takeaway interpretation when I first saw it. I'm like, well, this girl could be, this guy's a freaking this. I mean, it's probably like a Vici male, basically. Is what
yes.
Well, yeah, dude. Look, let's just call a spade, dude. Alex, you are a hot dude. You are truly living the hot dude life. And that girl on the far left, I could see her NPC programming short circuiting because she's probably reading everything on your tweet, and she's if you look at her, she's like trying to stay rock solid, but I could see it in her eyes and the way she's just carrying herself. That woman is flooding with attraction. And I think what it is because A, she's a woman in power, and then B, she's on TV all the time. So she has tons of men idolizing her. That's the number one thing a woman hates is like when a guy like idolizes her. So she probably has tons of guys like, oh my God, you're a superstar, blah, blah, blah. And then she sees this stuff and she's like, who the fuck is this hot dude with the audacity to say all this shit? And why do I agree with it? Because women want this kind of man. There is a shortage of men out there that are willing to do and enforce what you put in that tweet. That's why the harvest is plentiful for guys like me and guys like you on the panel. That being said, you could tell for sure she is like, in my opinion, she is flooding with attraction for you. She's just like, she can't keep it in. And I think that's why she doesn't say anything, because she's like, can't keep her composure.
Yeah, she can't give it away. She'll give herself away.
The big tell with that was like, and this is something for all the guys listening, like, how do you know a woman's really aroused by you? It's the open mouth.
Yep.
When you're talking to a woman, she has sort of that, that halfway where like the lip drops, and it's for guys who are just clueless. It's like, well, like, what does that mean? Well, woman, when she opens her mouth that way, it's a subconscious tell that she's either fantasizing, thinking about basically, oral sex, like pleasuring you, or just getting, having sex with you, like penetration. It's open mouth tell, basically like, oh, come into me. Like, women will not do that for men they're not attracted to. If a girl opens her mouth and she's looking at you, biting her lip, that's an obvious sexual tell. And she, you can tell her eyes are kind of like triggered. It's like, I'm attracted to this guy. I'm attracted to this guy. And her mouth's open the entire time. She never closes it.
There's a lot of old school pickup artist. I want to call it Kano, but there's a lot of old school pickup artist dynamics that I think are getting lost these days, honestly. But like the obvious one is like when a woman is like touching her hair, she's kind of trying to do her. So I think even Jonathan was in his video where he's showing these images of women doing certain things or doing certain actions just so people can see that. I think it's really important for that. But there's also evolutionary reasons for that. So like when a woman is preening herself, it's like a message saying, I need somebody to come and do this for me, right?
And also showing her fertility and her beauty. When you'll notice, if a woman likes you, she'll start taking her fingers, running it through her hair, and exposing. What she'll do is she'll expose one side of her neck to you, and then she'll take her hair, throw it on the other side, and start pulling, like straightening out with her fingers and looking at you. This is her natural female way of seducing you, and this is called preening. And as you mentioned, this is an ancient behavior deep in our primitive DNA.
They will also do self-kino. Okay, so sometimes women will do scratch themselves like that. That's self-kino right there. I think that's actually that's a lost art. I think our understanding that, because what that is I need somebody to come and pick the nits off of me is what it really. I mean, evolutionarily speaking, from a primate, from a primate tribal level, that's what that means. But there's a whole bunch of I could run down the list of probably about 10 of these things, but I wanted to talk about the guy's reaction in all of this too, because you don't get to see it so much as you get to hear it. Okay, because if you listen to his voice, and we should probably play this again, Donovan, but when you listen to how the guy talks, he's Johnny on the spot. He's like, oh, he's
tools or who calls each other tools anymore?
Yeah, well, because guys like, first of all, guys in media like this guy is. Okay, look at that dude and understand that he's surrounded by two semi-attractive women, right? And he's the guy that's kind of like who has to measure up. He's the one who is the ambassador of masculinity and all this, right? And what, for better or worse, right? He's the only masculine guy or only male that is in view. Okay. And what does he do? One of the things that beta males do, and this is a beta male tell, and this is very obvious, is when betas get flustered, they are reactionary. They're reactive to something, right? When you look at, like, say, and I hate to use animals as a example here, but like if you see like a lion, if you see a lion on the Serengeti, right, and something goes, like a loud noise goes off, all of the animals flinch and they run, right? Except for the alpha male lion, who's just kind of like,
yeah, who do I have to kill now?
Yeah. Okay. That's an alpha thing, because what that is that that demonstrates that at some point, that person, and men will do this as well. Men who are slow to react that is telling a story, or it's a subcommunication that this guy is so in control of his environment that what usually scares other people does not scare him. And so when you're reacting, I've always said this as well, is when guys are jumpy, when they jump to say something, that's a beta tell. When a guy stops and he's kind of like thinking about it and he's looking at that person, and there's this moment of communication, but there's no words, where it's conveyed with a look, or it's conveyed with a slow reaction, what that's saying is that I am so in control of this environment right here that what usually scares other people is not scaring me. And it's so internalized that it's like guys always say, you know, fake it till you make it. But like, it's so internalized for these guys that that's just their natural response. That's just their reflexive response, is just to sort of, you know, be a slow reaction time, because the guy knows that whatever it is that is in his environment that is shocking to others is not something that he needs to be concerned with. And so this guy on here jumps as soon as he sees AJ, right? As soon as he sees the picture of him, oh, he's a beautiful man. He sounds like a
beautiful woman.
Okay, bitch is not a swear word. We can say bitch. The guy is a bitch. Okay,
he is. He's a little worm.
Yeah, he's a little bitch, because like, and if you read that, I'm glad Red Pill Anon threw this out there too. It's like, what do you do if like Chris Hemsworth hits on your wife or your girlfriend or something like that? And I threw out the art of the AMOG. This guy would be very, very easy to AMOG. It would almost be comic. It's comically easy to AMOG a guy that is like this. And his first instinctive reaction is jumpy. His first instinctive reaction is to insult, but not to insult like a man, but to insult like a woman. That's the first thing he does, is he throws out all these little invectives, probably because he's in an industry that is ruled by the feminine imperative. It's ruled by the chicks that are on stage with him. And so he has to immediately recover for that kind of stuff. Like, and then so what do they do? And Jack Donovan is very, very good at identifying stuff like this. Is like, what does the feminized male do? Right? He acts like the women that are around him. He tries to fit in with the tribe of women that he is a part of. And that's what this guy's doing.
Shout out to Casa Ma 1976 with the 10, well, we'll just call it 11 euro. Says, thanks guys for all of your time and effort. Special thanks to Rollo for his dedication and wisdom. Cheers. Ryan, what's your response to the video? What did you see that other people might not have seen? Did you see what we all saw? And by the way, Alex, the black girl, Alex, obviously wants you. So if you guys got together, would you guys name your boy or girl Alex the Third? I don't know. Just putting that out there. My guess is ETF.
I have got to give AJ, though, credit. If you take nothing else from all this, these are some of the best nicknames I have ever seen in my life. Have you read these? Bargain Basement Jason Momoa, Discount Bin,
Walmart
Jesus,
Fabio.
Walmart Fabio. I called him Bargain Basement Razor Ramon. I'm not going to lie. I wish people had this much music with my name. It'd be awesome. But to the actual point here, sorry, I got to fluff you a bit, AJ. You're getting me wet just thinking about it. But the body language thing, I was never as skilled as everybody else, but I understand the importance of the subcommunication parts of it. The only thing I would add here is like a don't eat paint warning, is a lot of guys like seeing what they want to see. So for a lot of these things, like for example, let's say you're at a bar and you're running your dancing monkey game, which you shouldn't do. And then two girls are sitting there listening to you. Now, the girl can be there laughing, but let's say she starts looking over at her friend and starts laughing. That's totally different than looking at you and laughing, as opposed to like, look at this guy, look what he thinks he's doing, versus looking at you and like actually engaged. But a lot of times you can usually tell from the actions. And as long as that lines up with what you see on body language, that matters. The thing I love the most about AJ's interview, though, is he's not the first guy to say this stuff. That list is not something that came out of a laboratory. I've seen it 500 times and 497 different variations of all the same thing. But as far as I can tell, he's the first attractive guy who said it that they can't just dismiss out of hand.
Yep.
And I would say that's a big, huge lesson there, because that creates just the fact that he's got his aesthetics in order. That's why it changes the dynamic. Could you imagine if Roosh put that list out and that report was on Roosh, how that would go?
Oh, yeah.
They not to badmouth Ruth, but I mean,
it's a lot of subject material there for talking about.
And I think that's why Blondie McMiddle-aged person that wants to call the manager there was so aggravated about it, because she can't. It said something that she knows is true, right, that is unflattering to her.
Yep.
She wishes it wasn't true, but she can't dismiss him
because she's
just so gosh darn attractive.
Oh yeah, she's definitely post-wall. She wishes that she could attract. She wishes she could attract guys like AJ.
Yeah, but that career, man. Oh, I can't. That girl's so ambitious. Oh, it just gets me going.
Oh yeah.
But I'll end off with this one here, so I don't take too much time. But the part that was really amazing is you watch the guy and he's doing all his things, basically trying to shut down AJ. And the fact that AJ laughs it off is exactly the right sub-communication you wanted to give there. Because while he his point is he's threatened by AJ there. It's obvious. Anybody who's looking at it, even if you haven't taken John's course yet, sign up now. You can see that. Now, if AJ were to start arguing with him, then that puts them on an even playing field. Now, the insecure guy just said, oh, Chad's insecure too, so we're both insecure, so it's even. And it changes the dynamic. But being able to laugh that off, I think that's a wonderful thing. And I think more people getting dumped on in these social situations could take a lesson from this, if nothing else. I'm just going to leave it there. And be attractive. Don't be unattractive.
There you go. Yeah. Rule 1, be attractive. Rule 2, don't be unattractive. Gentlemen, you're watching episode 56 of the Red Man Group. If you want to support the Red Man Group, become a patron at patreon.com/Red Man Group. You can also get exclusive access to private Q&A sessions for around 30 cents a day. We are also sponsored by Tactical Soap, which will increase your penis size while also decreasing your approach anxiety. I personally recommend Bond and Durden for this effect. Maverick is the one that you use for the instant one-night stand with a 9 or a 10. We are also presented by the 21 Convention, Patriarch Edition, an event for fathers by fathers. The event, of course, will be held in Orlando, Florida from May 3rd until May the 5th. It's going to be the first of 3 events this year, so get your tickets today. Also, Gender Wars, the Patriarchy Starts Back, the Patriarchy Strikes Back airs today, I think. What is today, March 2nd? Yeah, at 2 p.m. Eastern. Let's see here. Looks like it's going to be on Anthony Johnson's channel, the 21 Studios channel, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, perfect. So be sure to search 21 Studios for that. That's at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's talk about body language, gentlemen, and we're going to open up the phone lines here in a few, but I'd like to talk about body language from a male-female sexual standpoint here. And I'm going to go to Jonathan first on this one. Obviously, there are many utilities that knowing how to read body language has. But most guys, of course, want to know about female body language for one obvious reason, which is, how do I know she's attracted to me? How do I know she wants to sleep with me? How do I know she wants to kiss me and so forth? Jonathan, how important is it for men to know and understand a female's nonverbal cues when interacting with her strictly on a sexual seductive level?
If every man could see, like, this is to steal exactly what Rollo says. If you can interpret body language, okay, then you literally see the code in the matrix. If every man could see the world that I see, it would be a massive patriarchy. There would not be fat girls anywhere. There would not be women deceiving men. And a lot of these guys would not give the undue attention and financial praise and financial, support to these women who are really just using them. You see, when you study body language and you start to understand it, the only downside to it is you cannot unsee it, and you start seeing it everywhere. So you could start seeing when a woman's lying to you. You could look at a woman's legs and understand, okay, does she want to be here or does she not want to be here? One thing I do in my course is that you can tell when you're on a date with a woman just by the way she looks at you if she wants to kiss you or not. With studying body language and there's tons of free information on the internet as well as my course. But not only that, if you have a red pill mindset, and you can see the body language, the probability of you getting fucked over in a relationship is really low. And then secondly, the closing rate of you going on dates is going to be like at least a 10% jump. When I figured it out, I completely eliminated date 3 out of my vocabulary, because it's like sales. You raise the buying temperature and then you strike. Same thing with sex. You find her when she's at her peak attraction. You can literally do things and look at her body and realize, oh my God, I'm getting positive feedback. Keep doing this. Oh, I'm doing negative feedback. Don't do this. And if you can do that consistently, it's usually you're ejaculating, you're evacuating day 1 every single time. So for me, you'll save a lot of money. You red pill way more many guys. And overall, I mean, the chat is, I don't even tell these guys to promote it, but the chat is just going insane about it. So the applications of body language also transfer into so many different areas, because you could tell if the guy at the car lot trying to sell you this car is a liar, or if he's a dishonest guy, or there's something, they just want you to sign the contract. You buy the clunker and then you're out $10,000, $20,000 with a broken car on your hand. That has happened to me as well. So, it has multiple aspects of life. I mean, there's a reason why the FBI, the NSA, the CIA of multiple nations, all heavily heavily finance and enforce these psychological studies and trainings for members of their military and secret government organizations. Like, it's a real thing. All I know is, like, in the future, when there will be like AI glasses you can put on and analyze body language, people will look back on me and be like, wow, he was a genius. So I know I'm right. It's just
we had a speaker at the 21 convention. Actually, he's been there twice now. His name's Joe Navarro. He's got at least 4 different books right now, and he is a former FBI expert on body language. He has a recent book. I'm going to give him a plug here. He has a recent book called, I think it's called The Dictionary of Body Language. If anybody is like really wants to get into studying this kind of stuff heavily, I mean, this isn't just like manosphere. Oh, this is just manosphere BS, man.
Yeah.
No, this is like for real. We just use it in intersexual dynamics, but like you said, you can use it in so many different aspects.
Yeah, we're actually going to cover that later on. So do not don't touch that dial. I don't know if we say that anymore. Alex, let me pose the same question to you. Obviously, you're a guy who's had a lot of success with women, and I'm sure you have guys come to you, hey, Alexander, I was feeling this girl, and we went out on this date, and this and that and the other, but for whatever reason, I didn't have sex with her. She didn't ask me back. She flaked on me. And it's my assertion that way too many men out there don't really pay attention. They pay attention to what she says and the responses and all that, but they don't pay attention to what she doesn't say. They don't pay attention to her body language, her nonverbal cues. How important is it for a guy like you to read nonverbal cues? Because listen, you're not a layup. You could look like AJ and still go 0 for 10.
So that's a really good point what you just made, Donovan, where men too often, a lot of guys today, they pay too much attention to what she's saying and not how she's saying it. So the term I like to sort of like use, I'll tell guys, like, you're metaphorically blind to women, meaning like you don't actually perceive them accurately. You're so caught up in sort of this rational autist mindset of like, she's saying this, we're having this conversation. How is she positioned? How is she sitting? I mean, these are very basic things. I remember my dad telling me when I was like 10 years old that like I picked up on, and later on like made clear sense. I don't think about it anymore so much. This stuff we talk about, is she playing with her hair? Is she making eye contact with you? Does she look excited? Does she look surprised? Is she facing away? Is she facing towards you? Are her legs crossed? Are her legs open? Is she fidgeting? This becomes very obvious when you pick up on. And I've done this sometimes even on my Twitter feed. Well, I'll watch couples on dates, and you'll see a woman where she's trying to convince herself that she's attracted to the guy, or she's trying to have some sort of conversation with him, and he's just talking often sort of his own world, thinking that he's doing a good job because he's being a good communicator. The way men are talking, I'm being a good communicator, I'm talking a lot. And she's completely disinterested, or she's trying to keep herself interested in the conversation. There's a term in like the fitness world and also the dance world: the body does not lie. The body knows before the mind. Women know, and women have contextually, they know immediately whether they're going to have sex with you, or whether I should say they would have sex with you or not, when they first see you, when you walk in, with your own body language. That's why I call it the sense of male physicality. And then they sort of make a decision upon that based on if you fall up on that. You can be a very attractive guy. Let's say you're 6'5" and you're Chad Thunder, however you want to say it. So you have that physical
way to censor yourself. I like that. Good job.
You could have that physical qualification, but if you completely fall flat and you go from being, oh, he's really good looking, but oh god, he's clueless, she might still be able to convince herself, because women like tall men, but that's a massive, massive disappointment. I'm still like, what's the solution here? You have to be perceptive and watch women on the level of the physical and understand that that's a subtext, or that's an overt expression of like the subconscious and the emotional, which, I mean, John's course, which I haven't gone through, I was going to check it out today, but I know it's gotten great reviews, like you have to plug it. That's probably needed for most of you who are listening to this, because once you do this, communicating with women is honestly easy. Rollo's talked about this, I've talked about this. There's this idea that women are mystical and you don't know what they're thinking. The female mind is impenetrable. And no, it's not. Women are very obvious with how they present themselves. And women, in fact, are very, very bad at lying. They are. Like, if a woman truly can lie with body language, that's BPD.
That's dark triad. Yeah, right.
I mean, that's a whole different level of, like, just stay the hell away. That's where you might get burned and you could be, the expert. But for 99% of women, their body language reveals everything about them. And this is where, like, when we talk about, like, when women talk about, he doesn't get it. Rollo, how many articles have you written about that? You don't get it. You're just not getting it. That's what they're expecting you to get, that you are seeing them.
Ryan, quickly jump in there, and then Rollo, he's going to do the pictures.
Yeah, I think AJ's point's more profound than he let on there. So we were just talking before about how that news reporter guy, Chatty McBaderson, was very reactive. Now, the thing with this body language is a bit of a double-edged sword, too, because if you're constantly gauging her reactions and then changing things about on that, like, you got to be aware of this stuff, but don't let it guide you. Just like AJ was saying, and I think it was even Book of Puck there, where it was assume the sale.
Yes.
And then as far as being the best communicator, yeah, it's not about having the most airtime. Like, for example, my best routine when I was doing pickup was the cube. I loved it for the attraction and seduction phase. Maybe 10% of the total conversation was me speaking. The other 90% was her running her mouth and associating all of those good feelings she got from it onto me. So I'd say a really good communicator is just the one that brings out the best in the other person. I mean, and we're all ego driven. So everybody wants to hear themselves run their mouth. So if you can encourage her to do that, but guide the conversation in a sexual manner, you're a great communicator, even though you're saying almost nothing.
Very good.
And like AJ said, it gets easy once you practice.
Yes, yes. And listen, real quick before Rollo goes, Jonathan and AJ, 100% right. Women are not good liars at all. All you have to do is and I don't want to say all you have to do to disqualify the fact that it's not easy to pick up on it, but once you figure it out, once it all clicks, once you stare down the hallway at the three agents, you don't see the three agents anymore, you see it in code. Women find it very hard to BS you. They find it very hard to deceive you. Rollo, what you got, man?
Sure. Well, the first thing I want to do is, before I jump into these pictures here, I pulled these all off of my post on this. But I think that one of the reasons that we don't want to believe body language, or we resist it, is because we're taught to do that from a very early age. We're taught to believe what a woman says. One of the things that we've been teaching generation after generation ever since the sexual revolution is to believe that, first of all, that men and women are blank slate equals. Okay, so if you are all about like open communication, she must also be about open communication, right? We're all supposed to be these rational, reasonable, co-equal beings. And so what do we teach? I mean, that's the first law of like Oprah and Dr. Phil. Open communication solves everything, right? And that's the hardest thing, I think, for, in the beginning anyways, for blue pill guys who are unplugging from the matrix. They have to overcome, because they don't understand. They think that all they have to do is communicate and everything will be fine. No, it's what you communicate. And there's different ways of communicating. That's why we talk about subcommunications. What is a glance implying? Because remember, women have a much greater facility for understanding nuance in communication than men do. So like I think it was Tana Guzzi was telling me, or telling guys, wear some nice shoes, because women love shoes. They'll look at your shoes and guys think, oh, I don't care about what I look like, I'm just putting some tennis shoes or whatever. Women notice every little thing about you in ways that you don't even understand, because they evolved to do that, to see that kind of stuff and be sensitive to those communications, right? So like when you're in a group of a mixed company of like girls and guys, and another girl walks into that social situation and she's dressed up and she looks really good, what's the first thing the girls in that group will do? They'll try to tear her down. They'll go, oh, did you see, or like she'll walk out of the room and first thing the girls will say is, did you see that dirty look that bitch gave me? That's what they'll say. And you were standing right there in the same room when this happened, and guys are like, what are you talking about? Well, every woman in that social circle saw that, but you didn't, because women are sensitive to those kinds of things. And they understand what happens is, if you believe in open communication, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage as a guy. And we don't want to believe that. We don't want to believe that any woman wouldn't be just as rational and just as reasonable as we are, right? That's Red Pill 101 right there, is to understand that there are men and women are different, okay? And they interact differently, they communicate differently, they sense the world differently, literally sense the world differently. So when you guys are saying, it's very easy for us to go and say, believe what she does and not what she says, okay? But it's hard for guys to get past that, because we've internalized this idea that we have to look her straight in the eye. We have to be good listeners, right? How many times have you heard that? You got to be a good listener. No, that's just all that does is prioritize her way of communicating above your way of communicating. And so when you become red pill aware, you have to have the courage to give yourself permission to say, look, we're going to communicate in the way that I communicate, and if you're good with that, then that's fine. And women will respect that. Women will end up admiring that, and I'm about to show you why that's going to happen. So
Do it, man.
before I
just want to ask, I want to add something. Like, when you talk about like not understanding this stuff, really, that is like, if you really break down our philosophy, that is being super blue pill. You do not see reality. You're seeing an illusion, and it's really, how deep down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
Can you guys see this? Okay, was that I prioritize the thing? So okay, so this right here is the lean in. Okay, as you can see, when we look at where the eyes are in these positions. Okay, now Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, that's a press shot, so they're probably being posed for that. But look at that lean in. That's a natural position for him. And look at I don't know who the couple is in the top left-hand corner right there. But again, she is more interested in the cell phone and what's going on her cell phone than the guy who's probably trying to profess his undying love, right? I mean, wherever they're at, right? Trying to get her away from that thing, right? And you also see the hand there. That's a mate guarding position. Then you have Drake down there. Okay, she's looking at it, and again, he's leaning in. Another guy is leaning in with the Asian girl right there. He's also doing a little bit of the mate guarding position as well. Let's
making that smile. Like, I think I should be liking this, but I don't quite.
I don't know why I don't like this.
Right, like you can see that in the face.
Yeah, okay.
Drake is the one, in my opinion, who has, other than the guy kissing on the cheek, it's pretty, he has his arms around her, which is somewhat dominant, and that's cool. But Drake has her arm over him, and that's establishing dominance, and he's leaning under her, leaning into her, kind of under her as well. He's behind her face. That is just all submissive. Like he's the sucker in this relationship.
Right. Okay. This one right here is the lean out that I was talking about. And if you look at that, and I don't know who the kid is up in the top left, you'll have to forgive me, but I know that some of these people are actually probably all of these people are famous, but if you look at that, how she's leaning out because the guy is leaning in.
So obvious.
That is and
away from me.
I chose these because they were obvious. Okay. And you've got Justin Bieber with his wife, and she's trying to lean away, like, get this guy off of me is the body language that's being said. Now you also look here in the top left and the top and the bottom left. I forget who the guy is in the captain's hat there, but you'll see that hand placement on women where they're just trying to like say, okay, this guy's leaning in. They want to sort of distance themselves. They want to push this guy away. It's not like a drawing in. It's a pushing away. And then you also notice that where are the eyes of everybody in this? The women are always looking off somewhere, or they're looking out at the camera. The guy at the bottom left, I would say that the blonde that's with him is probably more concerned as to how this is going to look on her Instagram feed than being in the moment with this guy. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that one. Let's see. This one right here is the I love mommy pose. Okay. This is the kissy one. And I wanted to throw this one on there because guys will do this like almost subconsciously. All of these behaviors, by the way, are internalized behaviors. It's what guys default to. And also it's what women default to when they're put into that situation. So if you look at like, again, that top right-hand girl right there, the blonde, again, she's more interested in how this is going to look on her Instagram than the guy who she's supposed to be, maybe she's, his fiance or something like that. Right. There's no care. Like the one that's on the bottom, the bottom left right there with the girl kind of looking out. That's Goldman's book, by the way, that she's got right there. And then the guy looks very, very masculine. Probably if you looked at him, you'd say, oh, this guy's alpha. But what does he do? He defaults to a beta posture. His subconscious says, I love mommy. And then of course I threw in Ross and Rachel there at the bottom there because that is like it's so egregious. Now I just threw that in there, and now granted that's probably a posed picture, but that's what I'm talking about. That's the feel that you get from these things.
But you can just pop open Instagram and see this everywhere. Like guys,
yeah.
Pro tip: never kiss a woman on the cheek in a photo. Tell her, no, honey, you kiss me, and that's the photo you take. You put that on your Tinder, watch that shit light up.
I got I got this.
One thing
Why are you taking the cheek? Just grab her face and pull it in. Grab her on the lips.
Right.
listen, one
I do
thing
that with my wife all the time.
This is the one I really wanted to show you right here. This is the eyes. Okay, this is the come do me eyes. You know what? This is the come fuck me eyes. I will throw out $1.99.
Oh,
She looks like all of these girls look like they're more interested in having sex with the guy who's looking at them on Instagram or wherever they're going to post this thing than they are with the guy once again who's leaning in, kissing on the girl. And she's either looking away like, oh, brother, what did I get myself into? Or she's got this kind of smug look on her face where she's just like, I got this guy. Like, I think at the bottom of this one, it says, I have literally been making this man chase me for years and years. I'm finally tired of running. I'm ready to start my life with him, or the way that it was meant to be. I love you, blah, blah, blah. Does this chick look like she's really in love with this guy?
No.
Does she look like she's like, it looks like she's like, okay, I understand I'm in my epiphany phase right now, and I gotta pretend like I really like this guy, so I'm gonna let him kiss on me. I'm gonna let him do what he wants finally. But just in case there's some guy out there in Instagram land who really still wants to get after it, I'm still available. That's what this is. This is an advertisement for availability of that woman. Now, I want to throw this one on here too. This one was pretty funny because if you look at the guy and his wife on their wedding day, she's just kind of like,
Yeah.
But you put her in a situation with like Rob Lowe or a celebrity, suddenly she's mooning for the guy, right?
Yep.
So that seems like maybe that's a little bit egregious, but I want.
No, it's true. And a part of the reason why these girls are doing that is because the guy's body language really symbolizes what he's done. He's probably already confessed his undying love for her. He's an obedient little lapdog. And let me tell you something. If you're completely submissive and obedient to a woman, she knows, okay, I won this game. And then the number one poison for a relationship kicks in: boredom.
And look at where her in the wedding shot, look where her hand is, right up on his shoulder. His is around her. She's not drawing him in. She's almost like pushing him away. I will guarantee you her arm is around Rob Lowe's waist in that one. All right, this is the defensive. This is the mate guarding pose. Okay, and women is kind of like I don't know if I want to. And like Asia Argento is more interested in her cigar or cigarette than she is with Anthony Bourdain right there. This is that sort of blocking that I'm going to put my arm around you and say, it's a implication or it's a signal of possessiveness. Like, this is my woman. Now, a lot of guys call me on this one because they say, shouldn't you do that? If you're an alpha, shouldn't you defend your woman? Well, yes, to an extent, but I also believe that if a woman is that into you, you're not going to have to do that. She's going to show you that that's what she wants. That's where she wants to be. She wants to be a part of your life. I threw this one on there because that's an alpha tell if there's ever an alpha tell.
Oh, yeah.
Biting the lip, looking at the guy, looking up to the guy, mooning for that guy. Now look at the difference in expressions here, but also where are the eyes going? And I understand, yes, again, this is just a shot from the Wonder Woman presser. But
that doesn't look like it's staged to me.
That's not staged.
No,
that's genuine. That is genuine attraction right there.
Yeah. So if a woman is biting her bottom lip, that means she's in. That's almost. I think in the old school pickup artistry, that was an indicator of interest.
Now, if you watch the live clip, like that's a video online. It's a short GIF. It shows so he's talking. I forget the actor's name. Chris Pine. Chris Pine's talking. Gal girl, she looks over at him. You can tell she's completely just looks him up and down. Him, bites your bottom lip, and then she has this freak out moment where she's like, "Oh, wait, I'm on camera," and she does this, and then she reverts back to the camera and she tries to reset her face. It's so incredibly obvious,
and that's the same look that the lady gave the guy who killed the mountain tiger with his bare hands. Exactly. If you look at her, that's literally the exact same look.
Yep. That's social proof is what that is. That's pre-selection.
Listen, the first time a jogger ever made a girl wet.
Real quick before we move on here to the next set of
pictures. This is the last one.
One thing that I have noticed about the women and the men and that first set of pictures is that these women are their own mental point of origin.
Right. Yeah.
The woman is the man's mental point of origin. That's why all of the attention is on her. I think that's definitely worth noting.
All right. Now, this is Vincent Castle and his 21, probably 22-year-old now wife. And I threw these on there because it was easy to find these shots. Okay, this guy is 51 years old. She's 21 or 22 right now. But you can see in these shots where she, you want to say, well, the girl is like doing his hair right there, and you can tell just from the look and the expression towards each other. Like if you look at that one where he's picking her up and she's looking at him, right? She's not looking out at the camera going, "Hey girls, look what I did." She's not mooning for the shot. Her focus is on him. She admires this guy. She's glad. She's thanking her lucky stars that she's with a guy who's got his shit together. Another one. But and I threw these on them just because they're easy to see where it's going. Like she's got her tongue out, she's looking at it, but we'll also look at his expression. Okay, I can tell that this is something that like was probably a shot that was picked off, just a casual shot, maybe at a party or something like that. And if you look at the pictures, and you can go online and find dozens and dozens of these shots with Vincent Castle and his wife, she is into him, and it comes out naturally. It's like this. It's internalized to her to admire him, to look up to him, to look into him. That's what she's doing. And so when you've got that going for you and the guy's looking out, that's when you can tell, like just from looking at these pictures, you can tell Vince has the frame in this. Okay. It's just this instinctual kind of feeling that you get when you look at them. The other thing is like, she doesn't care, right? She doesn't care that the feminist trope of never do anything for the pleasure of a man, never do anything to build him up, because that goes against the strong independent woman narrative, right? She doesn't care about that. She only cares about the dude that she's with because she's that involved, and she doesn't care what the social, what other women will say, because she's happy, she's glad to be in the spot that she's in right there. So I wanted to throw that out there as sort of like, these are kind of like alpha tells.
One thing through all these guys before we move on to the phone lines.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back to the photos roll at the beginning with like Drake leaning in, guys,
Drake,
that forward head posture, you see that over and over again. And this is the beta cue for women when they see a guy whose neck's like this, where it's very juddy, and it conveys nervousness and squirreliness, but it also conveys too that it's needy, it's supplication.
Right.
When you look at Cassell, he's upright, he's straight, he's got excellent posture. Drake, leaning in, obviously, going back, if you go back to their photos, every guy has got his head to the side, he's got his head forward, he's got that, almost like what we call in like the training world, like the computer neck or the desk posture. But this kind of look, it doesn't convey strength at all. It doesn't convey that you're your own mental point of origin. It shows that basically you're looking around for someone else's approval, someone else's direction. If you look at Cassell looks like a statue.
Yeah.
Like even the wedding shot, like they're not leaning into each other. He's upright, perfectly upright. She's smiling, and all the pictures. And actually, I went through Instagram when you brought it up. He has rock solid posture. Same thing with Daniel Craig. So Bond. If you for all the guys, if you want to watch classical male archetype of like the bad boy with a great body posture, you could never imagine James Bond, no matter what actor who played him, leaning in with his head jutted forward, doing a face on a woman. He's always his own man. Yeah, and that's an easy thing that if you're trying to convey if you're trying to increase your attraction dynamic with women, fake it till you make it, but fixing your posture makes a dramatic difference.
Yeah, and then in my opinion, anything Jason Statham, that guy has rock solid body language.
Yeah, Jason Statham. Listen, Jason Statham he's the only guy I know with male pattern baldness who actually looks good with male pattern baldness.
No, he really does.
I threw I threw these things out there, and granted, yes, they're celebrities, but you have to understand these are all archetypes of behaviors that you can go find. So if you don't believe me, unfortunately, you're going to have to go and do the homework here if you want to look at this, but look for those shots, man. When somebody sends you a picture, I think kind of like our hindbrains internally understand what the position is in that relationship when you see the body posture and you see where the guy is at and you see where the girl is at. We want to rationalize things away. Our gut instinct is telling us where that what the real story is going on between that couple. But yeah. So anyways, go ahead. You want to take some calls?
Yeah. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines, guys. 914-205-5356 is the number to call. If you're outside the U.S., it is 001 914-205-5356. Super chat questions get first priority. Phone calls get second priority. So keep that in mind when you call. Try to be patient, guys. We will get to as many of you guys as humanly possible. Shout out to Redman Anon with the $10 super chat. It says, follow-up question. If you find a girl, had a guy or guys who are physically better than you in the past, stuff you can't change, how would you handle? Leave it or keep improving? Stay out in alpha, stay in spin plates. What if you want an LTR? As far as being able to, you can't control what other people do. You can only control what you do. So if she was with bigger, better, faster, stronger men, then in order to make yourself physically better, you need to get into the gym. That is literally how that goes.
I'll give you a 10-second answer that's better on that one, Donovan. Get a high enough end count where that really isn't a concern anymore.
Yeah.
And he says you want an LTR. Like, how do you know you want a long-term relationship at that point? There's a lot of things that goes into that.
Watch and see if she's an alpha widow. That's an alpha widow question. Is like how much of an impact did that guy make on her? If you think it was significant, then maybe you want to just say, hey, you know what? Just turn her into a plate.
All right. 914-205-5356 is the number to call. We are going to go to we're going to go to Pine, who is on the line. Pine, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
What's up, brother? How you doing,
gentlemen? Donovan, Jonathan, Rollo, Ryan, and AJ. It's good to talk to you all. I haven't seen you guys since the 21 convention, but
That's true.
Big shout out to Jonathan and his course. It's killer. But I want to make a comment, particularly on body language and guys reading body language. In my experience, it's that most guys, they can pick up on aggressive body language more so than they can on the more subtle, attractive body language. I know myself personally, I have that. I've worked with, let's call them prisoners for a while. And I'm able to pick up on aggressive tells really quick. But when it came to the more sexual tells, interest tells, I found that was much harder to pick up on. What do you guys think?
Ryan, what do you think about that? I'd actually like to hear your take on that.
Honestly, I did some time in cells, and we just set up the environment so we didn't have to worry about aggression. As far as I really just base things on actions. Like I said, I was never very good at looking, oh, well, she twitched her eye, that means this, or this guy was giving me the mug eye. More often than not, people are pretty obvious about it. So when they do something that seems out of place, I just take a quick second, take a beat, figure out why it's there. And that's tended to be worked well for me in the past. So that's why I'm so fascinated about body language now. It's a nice way to shore up with a little bit of theory behind what I kind of just built through A/B testing.
Yeah, my perspective on this for men, since we could talk about that earlier, that it's easy to pick up on aggressive tells, like once you know to look for like the biting the bottom lip. But you also, there's an aspect of this, I've talked about this with Ivan Throne, that you don't want to over obsess with body language where you're trying to pick up on every single cue.
Right.
The idea is that you're just overall, you're perceptive, and that the vibe almost matters more or as much, as the body language, because once you have that perception, things will stand out to you, and it's not a case of where you're looking at her foot, then looking at her knee, then looking at her wrist, looking at her hand. That's not the point we're making. The thing that could be helpful for everybody asking is the any kind of partner dancing. So I'll say salsa, tango.
Yes.
If all the guys are saying, I'm dead serious about this. If you want to learn how to lead and learn female body language, and just have the interaction where it's sexual, but it's also safe, and you end up having to dance with a lot of women, go wherever you live. Hopefully it's a big city or somewhere that has classes. Go to a place where they teach salsa, they teach partner dancing, and just go do it. And whether you're dancing with 80-year-old women or 20-year-olds, it doesn't matter. Go do that for 12 weeks. You will have a crash course in female body language. You'll learn what to pick up on. You'll learn how to lead. And also you'll learn very obviously what women want from you and what they want you to do. Because in that kind of situation, they will overtly tell you, you need to do this. You need to do that. You need to grab me harder. You need to pay attention to this. I think I would credit a lot of my skill with women from the fact that I've been dancing for years. And it makes you perceptive to that. Like that's part of the art form. And then that carries over, obviously, in the real world because everything is subcommunication.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Area code 302. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
First time, long time. I just enrolled into the Body Language Mastery course, and I've been watching it, and everything so far makes sense, but I didn't know any of it. So I feel like a dumbass because, I didn't pick up on it.
You just been conditioned different. That's all.
Yeah. So my question to you guys is, does our, like, beyond standing up straight and looking people in the eyes and having a firm handshake, does our body language matter? Like our subcommunications, and if so, what should they be? Like, we know what to do, what not to do, based on off of all the examples today. But like, what should we do, or does it not matter as much?
It definitely matters.
Yeah.
Okay, no, because look, here's the thing. You guys don't realize that women are like trillion times better at reading body language than guys, first of all. So if you're carrying yourself around like a schlub, then a woman's going to be like, man, this guy's a loser. I don't want to have anything to do with him. So it is 50. It is both sides of the coin. You have to have good language with your own body, and you also have to be able to understand and interpret their body language, because, you know, women's are masters of deception. And I'm telling you, if you start studying the body language stuff, like at the end of the day, you're going to be a top 1% human, man or woman. Like that stuff it infinitely pays you for the rest of your life. So I think personally, yes, stand up straight, go to the gym, take care of your body, look people in the eye, keep your head up straight. Don't be hunching over with the cell phone, smartphone posture. All of these things, standing up straight. There's a Harvard study that shows standing up straight increases your overall dominance and testosterone flow. So we're supposed to be like that as humans, as like primates. So definitely your body language counts, and so does understanding other people's, in my opinion.
Ryan, what you got?
So you know how the body language of alphas is aloof. You got to stand up straight. You move slow and deliberately. And I got this great trick that you can do. Go put on 5 pounds of lean muscle mass and be tired after a gym workout. That will make you move slower because your muscles hurt. And that'll make you stand up straight because you have muscles holding you up. You can't really fake this stuff. So the reason that people use these tells is because you can't fake them. So if you're sitting there thinking left foot, right foot, right foot, you're going to trip on yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
It needs to be something you need to. I can sit here and tell you, like, okay, eye contact is important. Firm handshake, the Jordan Peterson, put your arms back. Blah, blah, blah. I can tell you all of that, but unless you internalize that, unless that becomes part of your reflexive posture, like all you're doing is an act. So I think the real important part of this lesson here is to understand that, yes, those behaviors are something that you would want to put into your mainframe kind of thing, so that you're doing them naturally. And I agree with what Jonathan was saying about how women have this instinctual way of communicating. That's like I was saying before, is like their mental firmware is geared exactly for this kind of stuff. But if you go and you look at that image between Gal Gadot and who was the guy, Alex?
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine. If you look at that, okay, she in that video she catches herself, right? So if you are a high enough value guy, right? If you are a guy that she wants to just meets you the same night lay. She wants the same night lay with you. If you are that high quality, all of that goes out the window. Okay. And it's not because she's thinking, oh, I'm going to let it go out of the window. It's because it instinctually goes out of the window, because hypergamy cannot afford to miss that kind of an opportunity with a high value dude. So she's biting her lip. She's looking up to him, and then she recovers, right? Well, why did she have to recover? Well, she had to recover because her instinctive hypergamous hindbrain took over, because that's where you are. And understanding that and interpreting, seeing that, because most guys want to say that they try to rationalize away women's behavior. She just did that because of this. Oh, you're imagining things. We don't want to go with our instinct. Like I've talked about instinct, emotion, and reason. Instinct is the most important aspect of that, because most people have been trained to ignore their instincts. And so if your instinct is to, slump over, right, or to, not look people in the eye, or humans genuinely want to avoid confrontation. Alpha men don't worry about confrontation, so they're going to look in the eye. In fact, when I was a moderator at So Suave and in the DJ, the Don Juan boot camp thing that we were doing there way back in the early 2000s, the first thing we would teach guys is to look people in the eye. That was the hardest thing for these guys to do, because they have been trained not to do that. The blue pill will teach you to avoid conflict. It will teach you to be more servile. Okay. It will teach you to be a utility rather than an actor upon the reality that, or the existence that you are in right now. Okay. There are people who are acted upon, and there are people who act upon their reality, upon the world. Right. And too many guys are trained to be the guy who is acted upon, or is the guy who is made useful. So what you have to do is your behaviors will be manifestations of what your mindset is, or what you believe about yourself. That's why I always, whenever people say, well, how do I unplug, Rollo? The first step is changing your mind about yourself.
Shout out to King Quee or King Key 84 with the $10 super chat. Jonty Campbell with the we'll just go says body language is a gestalt, not pick and mix, not pick and mix. And then of course Davey Furtado asks, I want to flip my wait a minute, disappeared. Says, quote, I want to flip my life around, turning 22, no friends, no social circle virgin. Where to start? How should I tackle this and transform myself into someone with options and a better life? I would suggest the first thing you do is go way back to the Red Man Group episode 1 and start from there. That particular question, Davey, it's a good question, but that's why the manosphere exists. The answer to your question is so vast and so deep that I don't really, really the only answer I can give you is Red Man Group, therationalmale.com, Cortez.site, DonovanSharp.com, modernlifedating.com, rhinestone.com.
Okay. Shameless plug. Read my book.
That's the only, that's the only thing I got on that one.
I would just say too, just based off what I've read and what I've sized up real quick, I wouldn't be surprised if this kid is living at home with his parents. So go get a job. Just go get any job where you have to get out and communicate with people on a daily basis, and that'll give you unlimited amount of like priceless experience.
I would suggest a sales job. I have a background in sales, so game came a little bit easier to me. 914-205-5356. We got callers on the line here. Let's go to area code 361. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yep. All right. Hey, what's up, man? This is one of Jonathan's titty gang disciples, Jacob, in Japan.
Okay.
So I've been following Jonathan since November, whenever he first appeared on Red Man Group, and I'm currently 21. So it's been around, I'd say, 2 months, maybe a little over 2 months, and just within 2 months, and then going out twice with Jonathan, he's gotten me my first lay. So to the person that just called, that's 22 and a virgin, I'd say get on this body language course, man, and just come into Jonathan's live streams. He streams every day at 8 a.m. Eastern time, I think.
Yep, that's it.
Man.
Is your last...
He will do like a mini consultation if you call in.
This is great.
He will follow you and guide you like in any problem that you have. He's been there for like every problem that I've had. Like if I'm like right on the spot, oh, this girl's doing this, what do I need to do? He'll instant reply to me. And he even like calls me and tells me, dude, you need to do this and this. And if she does this, you just need to do this, bro. Just take her straight from the train station, straight to a hotel, bang her straight. Yeah, man. It's just...
we got you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Jacob. I appreciate that, man.
Shout out to Nazar Ghazali. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Shout out to him with the €50 super chat. Let's go to the next call. Looks like it's from outside of the U.S. Your phone number starts or ends in 275. If you just heard yourself unmuted, you are on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
It'll be $56.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, basically, I'm not sure if my question is directly related to body language, but I've been like in the red pill like for several years, I would say, and like doing pickup and having a bunch of girls and pretty much rest of the life pretty much good. But one thing which I cannot ever figure out when I'm looking far future, and I have never got an answer to it, pretty much the only similar example is Tyler or Owen from RSD is kids. Like one day when you want to have kids, you know, like for pickup, if you want to get better, you go out with money. It's better to have more money, so earn more money. But with kids, if you make something wrong, there's a whole court system, and there are a lot of lawyers and things like that. So there are not really enough examples around that. And I'm like, for many months and months, I'm thinking like how to have that solved one day and how to not get court rape.
I don't understand the question. What was the question?
He wants a formula. He wants the answer to how do I avoid getting divorce raped.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a catch-22, man.
Don't get married.
Like I said, you wanna earn a bunch of money to make a family, but if you earn too much money, then it encourages people to take advantage of that and divorce rape you, as they put it. At that point, Carl and I talked about it before. Like, make these preparations. You start vetting for a newfound mother, your children. You got to start being a little ruthless and stop thinking of it as somebody you love who's going to treat you right. You treat that as a business partner that's most likely going to screw you over. Like I said, he does way better about it because his divorce was amazing. Like,
you make a list of all the qualities. You make a list of all the qualities that a feminine woman needs to have. And you tweet it out.
And you tweet it out, and then you start vetting all the women that come to you in armies. How many dates do you have from this, by the way, Alex?
I'm actually have a girlfriend right now. So
how many girlfriends?
Ooh, she's on her toes.
Dude, you
like dread game.
Man.
Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious. It's steak dinners every night, probably at his house.
Oh yeah, no. To answer the question that the guy asked on the marriage, or like, what if I get divorce raped? You're already kind of setting yourself up for failure. Like,
Yeah.
I tell you, like, whether you want to get married or not get married, or whether that always gets argued about in the red pill sphere. I get it, but if you got this understanding now, if you understand how deep conversion works, where you're looking for a woman that wants to be a mother and wants to be your wife, and you have that sort of like Vincent Cassell level of conversion where she is so into you, that's how you set yourself up for a successful long-term relationship. So I mean, like, yeah, keep spinning the plates all you want, but like, start vetting for women on the basis of does she want to be a stay-at-home mom and have check all those boxes? If she does, okay, that has potentiality there. The woman that you marry is probably not going to be the woman that you were face fucking in the bathroom the first night you met her, but probably not, maybe.
Shout out to YOLO with I'm doing the conversion now with the 55
Norwegian krone. I looked that up.
Norwegian kroner.
I looked at $1.41, which equates to about 74 Scooby Snacks. Says, hi, Rollo. What do you mean by instructional in communication? What is the instinct for men and women when you say it comes before emotions and rational? I don't know
I think you said instinctual. So what do you mean by instinctual in communication? What is the instinct for men and women when you say it comes before emotion and reason? I'm just going to give you a really quick answer because I wrote a 4-part essay on exactly this. So I'm just going to go give you the links to this. But what I mean is, when human beings have a conscious and an unconscious interpretive process. It's how we process the information of the world around us, like through our senses, like our sight, sound, touch, all that kind of stuff. And we interpret our world through 3 separate processes. The first one is the instinctual. Am I in danger, right? Or how, can I breathe? Is the saber-toothed tiger going to kill me, kind of thing, right? That's where you get like that instinctual gut reaction. And there are physical manifestations of that. There are aspects of the instinct that apply not just to survival, but to sexuality and lots of other things. So there's the instinctual side, which is like really kind of root level subroutines that are running in our brains. Then there's the emotional side, like how did this information make me feel? That's where women kind of draw the line, right? They have a more emotional facility than men do, but they process or they prioritize it differently. So you've got instinct, you've got emotion. How do I interpret this information emotionally? And then there's reason. Okay, reason is how can I use this information to better my life, right? How can I use this information rationally to build something, to do something? So what happens is women tend to prioritize instinct, emotion, and reason. Men, it's instinct, reason, and then emotion. Okay, because that's the way that our brains, that's the way that our architecture is right now. But that's what I meant by that, and I'll throw the links in there.
Very good. Let's go back. Well, actually, shout out to 3x4 Architecture with the $2 super chat. Says, anyone read Heidegger? I don't know how to pronounce that. I guess you guys can answer yes or no in the chat. Let's go back to the phone lines. Area code 401. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Good.
Pretty good. So my question is mainly for Jonathan. I know that you say that Japan is a lot less fucked than the U.S.
Yeah.
I have an opportunity to go work in China for a few years. Do you know if that's the same way, or is that just as bad as the U.S.?
Oh, you'll get tons of ass in China. that's just the if you're watching this chat, even if you're not even relatively good looking or handsome, but if you go to China, bro, China is a fucking wild land, man. You would be drowning in vagina.
Okay. All right. I guess that answers the question. Let's go to area code 571. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Hi. My question is for Jonathan, but I guess anybody on the panel can answer that. So Jonathan, this is Mo from Denver. I have a question for you related to body language.
Okay.
So I used to follow Amy Cuddy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her.
Amy Cuddy. No.
Oh, she's a psychologist, and she would talk about power poses. So she gave some tips for power poses, and I would do that at work. And I've been called out saying those power poses can be very intimidating, aggressive, and people don't seem you to be approachable. So I was wondering if you knew what those power poses are and if you had any take on it. Anybody can answer that question too.
I can just tell you right off the bat that if anybody in the corporate blue pill world is telling you don't do it, it's probably something you should be doing.
Well, not only that, I wouldn't be taking, I don't care how many degrees a woman has. You should not take relationship or body language advice from a woman. That's just all there is to it. That was your first mistake. If you're going to take advice from anyone about body language or about the poses that you should do, you need to take advice from someone who pees standing up. That's my take on it.
Amy Cuddy is. I'm looking at her right now. I thought I'd heard of that before. She's actually more about like how. She's actually more giving advice towards feminists so that they don't look like they're, reckless bitches, right? Like they like this. This is a power stance, like that kind of thing. And it's like, I think that like women, when they get into male space, they feel like they have to ape male behaviors, and that's what she's talking about right here. It's like if you're doing that all the time, then you become, as a woman. This isn't for men. As a woman, you become unapproachable by doing that.
It's just like that's like Bill Burr said.
Guys dressed in drag.
That's like the equivalent of Rollo, Donovan, and Ryan and Alex or AJ and I, all of us saying like, this is what to expect when you're pregnant in your third trimester. This is exactly how to handle it. This is the best way to control your period blood. Why you would take advice from a woman on how to be a man. It's like, again, I'm reflecting to the greats. Patrice O'Neill's like said this. He says, going to fish. How can I catch you? Okay. What you're basically saying is like, how can you sucker me? That's what you're really asking to a girl. So don't take advice from them, because it's just a form of them being able to like control you and manipulate you and take advantage of you, really.
Real quick before we go to the next caller, area code 210, this is so obvious. And area code 571, listen, man, we're hard on you because we love you. This is tough love. You're about to get some tough love.
For sure.
Listen, girls, this is equivalent. What this guy did is the equivalent of women taking advice from their promiscuous female friends on relationship advice. Why in the world would you take advice from a woman who is perpetually single and can't hold down a man because of her promiscuous ways, when you know damn well you wouldn't take fitness advice from someone who is fat, or financial advice from someone who is homeless and lives under a bridge? Yet you want to take advice from a woman about male body language and power poses. Again, somebody's got to be Neanderthal. This is just going to have to be me. Do not take advice from women. It's just like Jonathan said. As far as Patrice O'Neill is concerned, these women, they're not going to give you the advantage. They want to keep the advantage that they have. There is no motivation. There's no incentive for them to give you advice that works. They want the advantage. They want to keep the advantage. They are not going to help you to get the advantage. That's just all there is to it. 914-205-5356 is the number to call. Area code 210. You're on the line with the Red Man Group. Please tell me that you're not going to call here telling us that you have taken advice from a woman and wanting our opinion on that. Please tell me that.
Oh, hell no, man. Honestly, man.
Okay.
A lot of where I've learned a lot of my stuff is from
Actually, there's a book I'd like to recommend. It's called The Like Switch. It kind of goes briefly into body language, but it's a book written by FBI agents to kind of like about communication. I highly recommend it to everybody. But kind of in my kind of what I wanted to talk about in regards to body language is, okay, so I wonder if demonstrating negative body language can sometimes trigger attraction in women. So why I ask this is because I notice when I go to the gym, I try not to make eye contact with women, not because I'm, you know, intimidated of them or anything. It's just I have a girlfriend. I'm there in the gym to do my thing and just get my workout done. And I noticed, like, I get chicks like checking me out. You know, it's just like I'm not trying to pay attention to them at all. I'm just trying to get my workout done, and I'm still getting like looks from other women. So if you could somehow maybe, you know, someone could talk about that.
What do you
My
wanna
God,
know
women
exactly?
looking at you. That's horrible. You
Yeah,
should put
if
a
they're
big
looking
shirt
at
on
you,
that says "Avoid me like the plague." You should do everybody a favor. That's wonderful. Get at it. Get over yourself. You know how hard it is to have sex with a woman?
Dude.
They throw out so many obstacles that you have to really push to make it happen.
Dude, listen, man. You got women looking at you at the gym. Like, don't listen. I'm glad you have a
Did
girl.
you check to make sure there's not stuff in your teeth?
guys, don't be so hard on him. He might be a hot dude. He's got a girlfriend.
I'm sure he is. But like, get over yourself. Relax. Let him look back. Start a conversation. You're not pulling
Does
R.
it
Kelly on him.
Does it? Here's a question. Does it make your girlfriend uncomfortable that's happened? Does it make her uncomfortable?
With
Yeah,
all
if
due
it
respect to-
does, then that's a good thing.
with all due respect to the
Is that why you don't want her?
with all due
That's why you don't want her?
Cortez, I'm sure that Alex is out. Listen, I'm sure that Alex has noticed that some of these women hitting him are attractive. Do you think Alex? When Alex sees a girl in the street or when he's working, he's putting his head down? No, I've got a girlfriend. I need to stay faithful, even though these girls. No, look him in the eye, man.
One thing I will say is, sorry, you were saying something, AJ, but anxiety. Women confuse anxiety as a bad thing, but that's kind of one of the big drivers of their desire.
Yeah.
So when she gets
you
anxious when
want
you're doing
that.
these kind of things, that's not a bad thing. She acts like it's a bad thing, but that's why they're called comfort tests.
Yeah,
That's spiking her emotions and arousing her.
When
Now
you are not the sure thing, you are not the sure thing. If she is not 100% sure that you don't have one foot out the door, you are doing it right.
That is an opportunity of passive dread. Do not kill that. That is you want to strengthen your relationship. Encourage that shit.
Yeah, that's how that goes. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Looks like we've got a caller from outside the U.S. Last three numbers 940. You're on live with the Redman Group. Go.
Hello.
Hello.
Go.
How you getting on, lads? Just calling all the way from Ireland. Really appreciate what you guys are doing for the men out there.
Right.
Hey, hello, Irish.
Hello.
But a friend of mine is following RDS.
RSD.
That guy Luke, the kind of
RSD.
He's following his social game thing, and the whole concept is being friends with women to have a higher perceived value and network through their friends to basically have sex with them, and they're hiring or making your value higher. What do you think about this concept?
Let me get this straight. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. So you're telling me that your friend is following someone on RSD who advises them to befriend women in order to get
I got it. I got this one. He's talking about RSD Luke. RSD Luke promotes a form of game, right? Because every last little niche has to have game attached to the end of it. He teaches a form of game which is called a social game or social circle game. Okay, and basically what it is, what I call mooch game. Okay, it's like you go to the club or something and you ingratiate yourself with the guy who's got bottle service there at the club, and suddenly because in some senses, I guess I understand the dynamics behind this, but like I say, there's a reason I call it mooch game. It's because a guy can go in there, and if you look at a guy like RSD Luke, you understand why that's his preferred domain, right? Remember, I've talked about this before. It's like a lot of guys who get into game become domain dependent. This is his domain that he's dependent on. It's just social game, right? Because if you look at the dude, he's not going to go get chicks looking at him in the gym. Let's just put that out there right now.
The guy's a big fat guy with long hair, and you're taking dating advice from a guy like that.
Well, okay, but let's just. I mean, I don't think that what he says is necessarily wrong. I'm just thinking that it only works for a certain guy or a certain kind of mindset there. Like, it's like, are you willing to sort of throw yourself out there and try to befriend a guy who has more going on than you do, so that you can be in his social circle, so that you can sort of poach the chicks that he has coming over. Like, and I'm going to be really rough with this right here. But like, say for example, you're at a Vegas club, right? Or maybe you're at Lex, right? You're in Reno, and you got bottle service, right? And this fat long-haired guy comes up and says, "Hey, Rollo, hey, how's it going, brother? Long time no see." You know, you don't even know who the dude is. But like, if you're in that situation and you paid, you know, almost $1,000 for that table and that bottle, and you've got your friends there, and you're the alpha, it's like that guy is trying to sort of be this sort of outside member, or this outside member of your tribe, because you're forming this little tribe, right? It's social circle. You're forming this little tribe at the table, and these guys will come in, and because they don't got the money, they don't have the money for bottle service in Vegas. They don't have they don't have, you know, they just want to come in there
What
so
does
that they
he
can
offer
poach it.
then?
Well, what he offers is he offers social proof to the guy that is who owns the table, like the guy who is the alpha of he's basically AMOGing the alpha, but he's doing it passively, right? So the guy who has the bottle service, and he's got the chicks and he's got the friends, he comes over and says, "Hey, what's happening, man?" Da, da, da. You know, it's because it's in the moment, right? It's because it's one more, and this is actually not bad game in the sense that I think it's kind of very manipulative, and it's for poor dudes and it's for fat dudes, right? But they get themselves ingratiated into the group, and then once they find their way into that group, then they, in a sense, get that social proof reflected back
with
to
the
them.
bouncer telling him to bounce him out of my table.
Yeah, that's what we would do. But see, most guys won't do that. And he's got dozens of videos where he does exactly this. Like he's got really like rich, you know, semi-famous friends, because he was bold enough to go and pretend as if he was a longtime friend, or pretend as if he's got some sort of relationship with the dude, right? And so he got really good at reading the signs of guys so that he could get into that particular little social circle, so he could poach the women that are in that group.
That's why they talk so much trash about us online.
I just guys do this to me going out, where I'll be in a group, like I'll have women around me talking, and it's like a, I call it like sort of like, it's like we saw like poach game. There'll be a guy that comes up. I got like 2, 3, or 4 women talking to me. They're interested in me. Oh, that guy has girls interested in him, and they come and they try to ingratiate themselves, like, "Hey, bro, like, they're going to get like the 7 of the group."
Yep. So they're
your leftovers.
So they're drinking free and they're hanging out with you, and
fuck down, tell them like, "Hey, good to see you, man. Like, move on." And the women will like ignore them pretty readily. I have seen guys do that, where like they'll end up connecting. I get annoyed by it.
Dude, that is some cowardly. I'm going to tell you what, man.
It's very craven. It's very, very craven.
I'm sorry, my bad. I didn't mean to talk over you. Give me that last 15 seconds again. My fault. Go ahead.
No, I say it's very craven. Like, it's a man where you're not elevating your own status. You're not doing this work. You're not trying to be the it guy. You're trying to find the alpha guy, and then you're gonna like hopefully take his leftovers while pretending to be his buddy. Like, it's bitch behavior, honestly.
Dude, listen, there are very few things in this world that boil my blood than people trying to come in and poach what you've worked for. It's like you've built up the status, you've built up the game, and sometimes your own friends will even do it, right? So you'll be at the club or you'll be at a casino talking to a bunch of girls, and one of your friends just happens to walk in. "Hey, Donovan, how you doing?" It's infuriating, but it's hard to deal with, right? Because you don't want to look like you're threatened by your.
You don't want to look like a dick. You want to look like, "Hey, yeah, come on over here, sit down."
I want to look like a dick.
Yeah,
I have no problems looking.
Well,
like a dick.
but it puts guys in that position to either be a dick, or to like bring the guy in and then have that guy bullshit and sort of feed you a little bit of pre-selection or a little bit of social proof, or at least that's what the guy is thinking. It's not actually happening.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, like, look, if you guys, all right, well, let's just quickly address RSD. If you don't think that these guys are using their angle of Instagram fame and them speaking at seminars as leverage to get girls, and then they spin that to manipulate their audience into thinking what they say is valid to get girls, then you have a lot of unmessing to do with your brain. Because that's completely backwards. Like, the way that they're doing this, they're just using their fame and then the fact that they're in front of audience just to show girls, "Oh, hey, I have high status," and they get girls, and then they show the girls to their audience, and then the guys reinforce it, and it's this like manipulative cycle. But the guys who wake up, they never go back to RSD. There's a reason why Red Pill is growing and growing and growing. RSD is failing. PUA is dying. I mean, RSD is a female instructor now. Think about the level of desperation they're getting to. So if you can't put those two together, you still have a lot of work to do mentally. Just know that yourself if you're watching and listening to this.
Area code 203, you're on live with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Hey guys, I had called a couple weeks ago.
10
guy with
seconds.
A borderline personality disorder spouse.
Yeah.
I had to call in when I listened to the gentleman who was talking about taking advice from the female body language expert. Look, Alex said it very well 25, 30 minutes ago, and he was talking about reading women's signals, and he was talking about, borderline context. It's impossible to understand it because of the emotional dysregulation. You don't know where you're going and what she's doing. Of course, put your shoulders back. Of course, do all of the things that Jonathan is talking about in his program. It's empowering. There's a definite connection between your physiology and your psychology. And the reason why you cannot listen to certain people is because they want to keep you down. They want to break you. And I can speak from experience. It is exactly what happened to me. And let me just say one other thing, because I forgot to say this a couple of weeks ago, and I apologize. Ryan, I'm a military officer. I'm an Army officer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you for your service. I met a lot of Canadians. I got a lot of respect for you guys. I just want to thank you for your service, and I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you guys for everything.
Aw, thanks, guy.
Yeah, he gave us the feels there. He gave us the feels. Last call of the day. It looks like you were calling outside of the U.S. You're on live with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Ibo. So I'm a long-time listener, and I want to ask you for advice.
Shoot.
So I have my second date tomorrow with this 7-year older woman. So she's divorced with 2 children.
Oh, Jesus!
But she's she's still very hot for her 40s, and I know her for many years now because she was at my previous job, and I was her son's coach some years ago. And on the first date, she was behaving like a friend, if you know what I mean, and she was also cheeky, like letting me order and pay for the coffee and the cake, and just walking away and looking for a seat. So when she tells me like she's not looking for another kid, and she broke up with her last guy because he was poor and having no time for her, and she's having a break from dating on and all that blah blah generic woman talk. And so, but I still could easily convince her to a second date tomorrow. So, and my question is just because like basically I just want to smash, and I think we just go for the lay and skip the kiss tomorrow. And the question is like, how do I counter this cheeky behavior? How do I get back in the dominant position? Like probably splitting the bill tomorrow, and like what's the difference in running pickup game with older women?
All right, here's the deal. Okay, here's the bottom line. This is raw game. You have advantage. Okay, she's old. She's divorced. She has 2 kids. She's mentally all over the place. So you need to ejaculate and evacuate, buddy. All right, you need to get on the date, and as soon as you have the date, schedule it within 10 minutes of wherever you're planning to have sex with her. Go to your location, engage in your activity, get her life story, get her to tell you everything from A to Z. And then once her life story is over, invite her back to your place for drinks or to check out some photo albums or listen to music or whatever. And if she says yes, she's going to let you have sex with her. If she says no, you go home and you just contact her on another day and you try another time. If it doesn't work after 3 times, completely game over with her. Find another woman.
Dude, I wouldn't even, honestly, man, dude, check this out. Here's my advice.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Let me ask AJ this question, and I think AJ will make this point for me. AJ, let's say you were to meet a 40-something-year-old hot, well, remember the 45-year-old 9, with 2 kids, an attitude problem, dumped her last boyfriend because he was poor and didn't pay her enough attention. Would you try for a second date with a woman like that?
But let's no, I would not, because I would not be debasing myself that I am so desperate for sex.
Hey, there it is.
To have sex with a 45-year-old divorcee with 2 kids, and the fact that you're scheduling a second date with her because hopefully I'll get pussy on my second date.
This is a goof.
Do it on my first date where I had to pay for the whole date, and she's gonna make me wait. You're gonna wait. You're gonna be made to wait for 45-year-old single mom cooch. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
That's the answer.
You're time after day for this, and this is a priority for you, bro. Like, bro, you need to unfuck yourself. Honestly. Like, I don't even know what the hell to say about this. Like, Jesus.
And that's $1.99 in the swear jar for AJ. But money well spent, dude. Definitely money well spent.
People don't know we were keeping a swear jar.
Now you heard it from Basement Jesus. Do you believe it now?
Yeah,
dude, that's awesome. I would have been $20 in the swear jar to say that. Thank you.
Here's your advice. Go home, go to Pornhub, jerk off, and be done with it, because that's time better spent than this.
Unbelievable, man. Like, and it sounded like you could hear him smiling, right? You could hear the smile on his face.
This is a goof, man. These guys call in and they go, hey, well, let me tell you something. Remember that one call that we got from that guy who's had like that mansion and he was like this multimillionaire and he's like, oh, I can only get women who are like 44 years old and they've got 3 kids. I was like, get out of here, man. I'm just like, it's funny. I'll tell you what's interesting though, and I'm glad this is at the end of the show here. I'll tell you what's funny is, like, I think the red pill has finally got to a point where people know it so well that they go, watch this. I'm going to goof on these guys, you know, and they think that it's funny. It's like, come on, man. Don't waste anybody's time.
We're going to say goodbye to Ryan Stone. He's got to go because he's got some other things that he has to do.
Again, physio later.
Yeah, he's got a physio. Listen, again, 4R Consulting at _Ryan_Stone on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channel, ryanstone.com, Patreon at _Ryan_Stone. He's gone. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Red Man Group. Let's do one more round robin here. Rollo, start us off with any closing thoughts.
Oh, I think that my closing thoughts as far as like body language and stuff is concerned, I think there's when guys are critical of body language or whatever it is that the red pill is telling them about, like beta tells or alpha tells, understand that if you have hesitations about that or if you don't believe in certain things, listen to your instincts, because what you're doing right now is you've been taught or you've been conditioned by your blue pill conditioning to give women the benefit of the doubt, to think that they are a certain way, or they're telling you like I have one post called "The Medium is the Message," right? We even talked about that before. It's like her actions are what is going to spell out a more clear story for you than whatever it is that she's telling you. The blue pill tells you the opposite. The blue pill tells you that you should believe what she says, and open communication is for a healthy relationship and all that kind of stuff. And you know, we've been saying this for at least the last 50 years, ever since the sexual revolution. It's like guys need to get in touch with their feminine side, and they need to be more sensitive, and they need to be good listeners. And and guys take that to heart, and they think that if they do that, and if they change themselves to become good listeners, that's what's going to get them in there, right? Well, I'm a good listener. I'm going to prove to her that I'm a good, you know, I'm a good old school, old books kind of guy, right? Well, you're catering yourself to be what you expect these women to believe, to want in a guy, first of all. But second of all, is like you're convincing yourself to ignore your gut instincts. I have a post called Gut Check, and it usually comes from these guys who will tell me stuff like, oh, Rollo, I think my girlfriend's cheating on me. Should I snoop on her phone? Should I go and look through her stuff? I'm like, if you're at the point where your gut is telling you this, there's a reason why guys mate guard, right? It's because there's this stuff in their environment that's going on around you that your instinctive process is picking up on. It goes this, hey, there's something that's not right here. There's something that's not right. You know, she's going to be cheating on you. You better mate guard, because if you don't, then you're going to lose this reproductive opportunity, right? And so your instinct wants to tell you that, but your rational mind that has been conditioned by the blue pill says, oh, don't make things up in your mind. She's not really like that. Don't. And in some ways I can understand that, you know, maybe you don't want to do that, but your instinct is telling you one story and your reason is telling you another. So when you hear this kind of stuff, think about what you're seeing in this body language and these alpha tells and beta tells, and ask yourself, what is it that your instinct is telling you about this, right? And then maybe apply your reason to it a little bit, but understand that your instinct is going to tell you one story and your conditioned rational side is going to tell you another story. And that what happens is there's going to be a discrepancy between the information between two of those, and that you need to find some way to really come to a logical, rational interpretation of what is actually going on in those pictures. Maybe you're one of these guys who's in these pictures, right? Maybe you've taken a bunch of these, because I know what's going to happen. A lot of guys are going to go, as soon as we're done, as soon as we're off air, they're going to go and they're going to search through their Instagram, or they're going to search through all of their their pictures and in their whatever their archives are, and they're going to look for each one, and they're going to, oh my God, was I doing that? They're going to like give themselves some kind of diagnosis. And it's like, don't do that, but do ask yourself, what is my instinct telling me about this picture between me and my girlfriend, or me and my ex-girlfriend, or me and these girls in this group shot, and try to listen instinctually. Try to listen to your instinct.
All right, well said, Jonathan.
Well, you guys, I did not coordinate all these guys calling in, singing praises about my course. The course speaks for itself. If you are a complete idiot when it comes to body language and you just want a good, simple, short program with easy, digestible parts, there's 4 modules. Each part is broken about 3 to 5 minutes, and you can watch it again and again and again. This will give you a good baseline knowledge of body language. In addition to that, there are 4 weekly webinars that I will be doing to follow up with live members from the group that are going to be Q&A sessions, and everybody who enrolls will be invited into the private Facebook group. That is a men's only Facebook group where I personally will attend to every single dating need you have. If you need to put screenshots of your Tinder, or, translating girls' bios, translating screenshots of text, whatever, you have lifetime access to this. All of it, it's $297. If you don't want to invest that in yourself, fine by me. I don't care. I've got plenty of guys joining in, and the deadline for that is Monday, midnight Eastern Standard Time. You can follow me on Instagram at Modern Life Dating. The link's in the bio there. On Twitter at Modern Life John, Jon. The link is pinned there. And then, obviously on my YouTube channel, and I just threw the links in the chat right there. So if you get in, you get in. If you don't, hey, I have no sad feelings for you if you get screwed over in a future divorce or whatever.
Good stuff. Alex.
For all the gentlemen listening, I think that probably the hardest thing with body language for the men is not just learning women, but also, like, the question has come up, like, how do I change myself and change the way I express myself? The easiest way I think to do this, I refer back to cinema films. Watch the original Bond movies, James Bond with Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Sit down, watch them. You can criticize and say, oh, it's a film and he's playing to be uber macho. Connery is a legitimately macho alpha man. He is very much himself in those films. You get to see an actual model of what a really masculine man looks like and how he interacts. And it's a very clear kind of archetype. The other thing I would suggest all the gentlemen to do, if you can, go learn tango. Tango is highly sexual. You are expected to be very macho when you learn tango as a man. You have to be able to lead. That's the whole dynamic of the dance. You go do those 2 things and add in, lifting weights, obviously, standing up straight, making more eye contact. You go do those things, your sense of self and your physicality will change, and it will change in the real world and have an actual effect on how people perceive you.
Well said. All I have to say is donovansharp.com. You guys know where to find my material. Shout out to Barrett B_IE. Says, thanks for the great content, gentlemen. This group single-handedly saved me from a 20-month hell with a 38-year-old BPD.
There you go.
Wow, triple threat.
Right on. Excellent.
Guys, be sure to tune in live to Gender Wars. The Patriarchy Strikes Back. That's going to be at 2:00 p.m. today. That's going to be 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am putting the link in the chat right now. Again, that is 45 minutes from now at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gender Wars, The Patriarchy Strikes Back at 2 p.m. today. This has been episode 56 of the Red Man Group. We will see you guys next week.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Adios.